Right guys, we're going to have a look at 2019 question 2 here. Alright, so this was the 2019 Junior Cert paper. So it's our planar rotations. Okay, we have this little shape here, and we are looking to draw a plan view. Okay, so it's going to be down the bottom, the new view of it here. Now, as I have a little look at this one, okay, grand, the squarey bit, curve, missing a radius, okay, might be a bit of a challenge there. That's a bit smaller. I have an octagon, and we don't often see octagons, and that's one of the things I want to look at in this video, is how do we solve an octagon problem like that. And this looks like I have a tangent here. My EG is tangent from E. Okay, so I've got to show my constructions when drawing this tangent. Now, let's have a little think about where we're going to put all these bits and pieces. This one is going to be our elevation. And then we have that guy. And the plan will be underneath it. Okay, that's fine. And when we look at this octagon, all right, this is going to be one of our main challenges. And we need to try and figure out how to put that together. So tell you what, I'm going to get the easy bits of it drawn first. Okay, I'm going to try and see, can I get the outline. I do think I'm going to have a bit of a challenge with this curve, and we'll deal with this guy. We'll get the whole thing laid out. Okay, so in this case, I'm actually going to start from fairly high up. So I'll go as high as I am without going off camera here, and we'll just get that little line drawn. It's 120 across, so I'm going to use 120, 12 to 24 on my ruler here, and we'll just come across and we'll start O at that point there. So that's O. That is a heavy line, the top of the little hinge, I guess. And we need to knock off a few things, so I'm going to mark the midpoint of that, which is going to be 18. Okay, now this 60, just because there's so much construction, sorry, this 60 mil here, it's kind of, you could definitely go with kind of marking 30 and 30 there. I'm actually going to do it with my compass because there's so many constructions that come off that. I do want it to be properly symmetrical. So we'll drop this midline down here. And I'll come back and I'll do that guy afterwards. Now, let's see, we want to get, again, I'm going to try and go around the outline first. So I'm 10 mil gap and 80 mil, that's fine, I can draw that. We just get our easy stuff sorted out first of all. So there we go. So there's my 10 mil gap, and that's my edge there. We can just send that straight across to here. Construction line is down. That's actually a heavy line the whole way across anyway. There we go. Okay, and those little lines, yeah, I'll deal with those with the 60. We may as well do it now. So I'm going to do this with my compass just to get it perfectly symmetrical either side. There we are. And this is not super necessary, but it does knock off a couple little issues. So there we go. Now I don't quite know where the bottom of this is yet, but if we look at the drawing, I'm going to come down another 30, I'm going to come back up 10, and that's going to give me a load of these points I need down the bottom here. So that's no big deal. I'll mark them off in the center line. There we go. Okay, we don't really need to come across here. It's not a big deal though, because we're going to project over anyway to this side. So what points have I got here? I've got J, I've got L, that's K down here, that's O there, and the other guys are somewhere along that one. Okay, so what we can do now at this point is begin to get the other line here, because I do know this is the bottom of it. Okay, so come across, and O comes straight down. Now, this is a heavy line all the way down to the bottom because we are literally seeing at the edge of it. This is like seeing the edge of a set square. Okay, it's not some made-up thing. It's just a very, very thin sheet. All right. It's rotated at 45 degrees. So somewhere along that line. Of course, that is not a random length. That is still the same length because we're not changing this physically in any way. So there it is there. That's the rotation, which means that this is shown, it's the easiest marks that people leave out all the time, is as a heavy dashed line. Okay, everybody can do it. Always someone who doesn't. So pop that in, nice little heavy dashed line. And the construction line is no harm because that way if something goes like in the middle of it, you can see where to go. Okay, so now we have that. We begin to get our construction. So I'm going to come down diagonally like that. We begin to build up our plan. So there's the top of it. We'll get the outer edge of it here as well. And this is no harm if you're working at home in A3, just to make sure it fits on the page. All right, and that of course is going to be point K. So it's always nice to kind of see what's kind of going on. Well, that top line is going to be there. So we can bring these constructions down here. Just allow the drawing to take shape so you can kind of see where things are going. You're not going to confuse maybe an XY line or anything like that. So this is the top of it. So that is that top kind of bar across there. And we just bring a few of the other easy ones across. That's a very small little rotation here, just to be annoying. We'll get it out of the way first. There we are. And we'll go down and across. Of course, that's this heavy line here, so that's fine. That's heavy the whole way across. Throw these little hanging things in there. There we go. And we may as well get the bottom where J and L are. So bring those across as well. There we go. Now I'm just going to see if we turn on our light here. It might make life a little bit easier. There we go. And that might just crank up the quality of the video ever so slightly. Okay, so get these heavy lines in so I can see what I'm doing. Now, happy days. That's all the easy stuff. Give an elevation, give an end view, and we're starting to create our plan here. So what can we begin to do and put together? Well, let's find the page first of all. We have a couple kind of bits and pieces we can begin to chip off. I'm going to get this bottom curve out of the way, okay? And it doesn't always have to be your first protocol. We may as well kind of figure it out. This comes up quite a lot in different sorts of questions. You know, I have a point here, a point there, so I've got 2 points in a curve, and I do not have the center. Now, I can see this is a center on the curve, so the center has to be along this line coming up from K. That's one piece of information. And the second piece of information we're going to do is if we put in, let's do this in a little sketch here in green. If I draw in a chord and I bisect that chord, okay, bisect the chord, this line will go through the center. So I'm going to take the line from J to K, bisect it, and off I go. All right, so this is a, you know, it's not a very common, it's not very uncommon concept sometimes, but people do sometimes get thrown by it, because without this it's very hard to solve. So there we go. Bisect that guy. So you should draw the construction line in first, of course, from J to K. Pop that in there. Bisect it. All right. This is my center. So now that I have it, stick my compass into that. And it's nowhere just to check, so we'll stick it into J. Okay, make sure that's actually hitting L and K. It is indeed. And there we have it. Just I'm using this hand to just hold the pin steady, and off we go. Now, you can see that the other one is going to be the same center, okay, because they kind of match each other. So we just go straight from there to, or bring it out a little bit. There we go. And we can just draw this guy in. Or just get the two of them together. Done and dusted. All right. Happy days, and we'll throw in that heavy line. Okay, what do we do next? Well, let's see, can we draw our octagon? Now, when you're looking at octagons, there's two constructions, and it depends which kind of piece of information you're given. We're given the total width here. All right, so we're going to use a construction you'll find in your book, this book here, on page 34. And it's this construction here. Okay, we make this kind of funky little flowery symbol, or a bit like an iron cross or something, and that finds us all of our corners. All right, each corner gives you an arc. This corner gives this arc, and so on, and you build up the pattern. So you can go back and check that in your book if you need to a little bit. I only have a semi-octagon, so I don't need to do it all. But let's see what we can begin to kind of locate on this octagon. So we'll drop these construction lines down. There we go. And we are given some dimensions. So we have a 10 mm gap. There. We have a 40 mm side. There. And that leaves me with 30, and that kind of makes sense because I know the total length here is 80. So this is going to be 30. Okay, and that's 30 there across here because it's half of 60. Now, so let's see what I have in terms of points. Okay, I'll leave this construction because the line does go a bit below it. This is one of my corners. I need to find out the different locations. So let's go and get my little radius. Now, if you remember correctly, this guy here, okay, the arc goes through the center. So I actually don't have a center yet. I'm going to find a center by coming up here from a corner, because an octagon sits inside a square. So there's my center. Now that I have my center, stick this in here. Get myself right onto that. And there we go. That is point D. Do exactly the same over here. I mean, you could do an axial symmetry across, but it's actually more hassle because compass is already set. And there's my other point. All right. This is, of course, one of my top corners. So I can bring that up. I don't need to go any further. And I could do it finding the other top corner, but actually I don't have it. So I'm just going to send a projection straight across because I know it's on the edge. So there it is. So that's E. Okay, indeed, actually I could have just gone straight up from D, I think of it. But that's the thing, you don't need to get too worried about these things because there's loads of different potential solutions. And there we have our octagon. And we do this one, that's F there. So we come straight across from F. So take a moment and rewind the video if you need to see that. It's not a very hard construction, it's just one we don't do very often, and you know, you want to make sure you can be prepared for it because you don't want to lose. This is actually reasonably easy as these questions go, so you know, there's much more tricky kind of things, but if you're missing that octagon construction, you're in trouble. Okay, we do have a little tangent construction. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring all of this stuff down here. I'm going to come back and do the tangent. Okay, so let's see what we're going to do first. I'll do the easier bits, so I'm going to get this whole section in the middle here. Now I do have this line here for, that's Q over the side, Q, and S and J and L, I have all those bits, so I can actually locate those very quickly. And I always like getting the easy stuff sorted out first. That gives me that heavy line. Okay, it also tells me where this bit's going to be with D. So of course D is, don't even need to bring that around, D is there, this point here. Is there. That's fine. This will not be 45 degrees because it's at an angle. So let's bring the top of it across. Over here. We'll rotate. We'll bring it around. Now there's a little bit of personal preference as to how much you want to bring in one go. can tell you what doesn't work is bringing everything across and then finding the points. Look at this. This way I know it's on this line. I can see fairly easily. Okay, it's going to be, actually need to project that down. It's going to be on that line. And the corresponding point, which is B. That's B there. So B and E are down there. I can see really easily where they are. Okay. And I can draw them in. I'm going to draw in as I go because this just avoids everything getting out of sequence and lost. Sometimes it feels like it's faster to do all your lines down, all your lines across. You almost always lose the time doing your error checking when something goes out of line. But you can do them in pairs. So I'm going to do these two in pairs just as a bit of variety. I think pairs is probably the optimal balance between errors and speed. So we'll bring those two up. There we go. So that, of course, is my heavy line. And there. This comes down to E. That was F, which was this one. So that's another heavy line across. Okay, so the shape is coming together quite nicely. Do we have... No little lines up there. Right, have a look at the time, 16 minutes. We're in good shape here. Let's do our curves, okay? I know I still have a tangent to deal with up here. There is quite a lot of marks in bringing these curves across. They're not super hard to do either. So I have points on the outer curve there, there, and there. And the inner curve there, there. And let's bring this bottom one across, or, oops, there. There we go. Round it comes. And there's or right there. I won't put all the letters in because it's going to get kind of confusing. So I can see one curve is there and one curve is there. All I need now are two additional points. We're going to get them with our pizza slices. Okay, and if you ever begin to run out of time, you're down to 2 or 3 minutes in this question. Divide this up and project everything. Okay. There is a significant amount of marks for doing it because it's kind of tough. Okay, so there we go. Now that's not quite going to cut it for me. Well, it probably will actually because it's a fairly short curve. So normally you want 2 points on it, but this is only a segment of a curve. If you wanted more, the way to do it is to do ordinance, to pick a point here and here. Okay, what I'll actually do is I'm going to show you that on the other side, just so you have an idea of the different option of how to do it. So now in an exam, pick one, but on this side, I'm going to do 30-degree slice. And on this side, I'm going to use ordinates. You can see the pros and cons of each one. So there's my slice there. That's my point. Across I go. Now, I try not to butcher your page on that because it does get a bit annoying if you wreck it, if you tear the page. Across we go. This is very close to this one, but it's not at the same point. So I can see that it is going to be a little bit above it. So it's going to be a little bit back here. And so that other line did actually get a little bit butchered. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to fix this. That really was that point, and this one should have been further out here. And it's very easy to fix because it's only construction line. Okay, so that point is going to move down to there. There's this guy. Lower down. And it really was that original point. So there's my point. Okay, so you can see that we have a curve kind of going in across here. Now, it would be nicer to have a second point. So you won't get it without getting into weird angles, so here's the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to use some of my existing lines. So I'm going to take a point there. I'm going to take a point there. All right, reasonably evenly spaced. Not perfect, but it doesn't matter. I'm already using lines that exist. So there's not so much more work to bring them down. Okay, they've also already been translated across. So look at this point here. It is, actually I haven't. Let's bring that one across. There we go. And we'll get this guy. So I'll do these two in a pair. So it is an extra point to bring across, but it should make drawing the curve a bit easier. And some of you I know aren't super delighted with your freehand curves. Well, the more points you have, the easier that is to do. So we'll bring these across now. It's getting busy. So let's track this guy here. There it is. Do that one a bit better than we did the last one. I'm only going to go halfway because I know I've done the other method on this side. So that is this line, which is coming across. It's this line here. We're coming down from this point. So there it is. There we go. Little dot. Proves you've got it. Makes it easier to find. The other guy came across up here. So there it is there. I'm going to send it across this way. And I'll just go across halfway because I know it has to reach it. And it is this one coming down, and it's going to be there. So you can see now, I've got these points. I'll make them a little bit bigger so you can see them in the video, there and there. So I have slightly more information with my curve. So it's just another way of picking up. Any reasonably evenly distributed points work. If you can use ones that are already half projected, you save yourself some of the effort. Sometimes it's a nicer method for these kind of arcs. Okay, well, we're going to do it all again for this guy. One in the middle will be fine for them. Let's see what we can use already. So again, I'm going to take ordinates really. The angles are going to be kind of annoying. So we'll take that across there. We'll take the corresponding point here. Yeah, I should take these. Take these two. So I'll send them across. Let's see where they are. Now, these ones I'm going to do one by one. It's getting very crowded down this end of the drawing. I don't want to begin to get it messed up. Oops. There we go. And all the time when you're drawing these lines, you're looking to see, are they parallel with the other ones? It's just how you're going to pick up in any little glitches. So that line was this one and this one. Okay, so they're there and there. And I'm just going to mark them off now while I have things in place. Okay, and we'll get the lower one next. There we go. Oh, yeah, they're really stacking these up here. So it's going to be the top one of them. This is a nice test of your parallel line skills. So I'll leave that there. Bring them across. So it's the upper one of those really tight lines, which is there. And the upper one there. You could do an axial symmetry. Not sure it's always worth it, but it's there as an option for you. Let me see now. Just kind of a little peek at this as a curve. That line looks wrong. It does indeed, so let's just double check it. It's this one here. It's the upper one. It's this outer one here. Yeah, looks a little bit. We're going to curve it in and make the best of it. Okay. Again, when you're doing your one of these, you can just double check, see if you can spot, is there anything off with those ones. I'll bring this one down here. Something does look a tiny bit off. Wouldn't be getting worried about it. There's our curve. Okay, now, how are you? 24 minutes, good stuff. We've got to draw this little guy. So, if I can find where the exam sheet has fallen away to. Okay. Right, halfway between that, 40, that's fine. That's 20 mil diameter. off we go. Now, if you're doing one of these, just a convenient way to do it is to take this measurement at 20. Okay, let's measure it up there. Double check and then draw it. And that line is a construction because it's not heavy after the tangent. So we'll leave that light enough. Tangent from E. Yes, you've got to do the tangent construction. I know it's tempting just to eyeball it, but no. Be good. Now the nice thing is though, oh no, that's not a nice thing. I thought we knew this distance. Bisecting time. Okay. But again, you'll be getting good at your bisecting at this stage. There we are. So bisect here for a semicircle. There's the center of it. And this kind of tangent construction, you do just need to kind of know it. It's not very hard. And once you're there with it, so we kind of draw a semicircle. Around we go. We will find our point of contact, and then from E, off we go. Okay, that's my tangent. I'll go back over the original one and just heavy in the circle. Okay, it comes up in all sorts of little questions. I see it in question 6s too. See it in short questions. So you do have to have this basic tangent to a point construction. So again, connect the point to the center of the circle, draw a semicircle, there's my tangent. And if you notice, the normal would be going from the point to there, and that is 90 degrees. All right, you see it here with this. Okay, because any triangle contained within a semicircle, that's going to be 90 degrees. That's why it works. Right, let's go and get this point for sure. Send that chap down. It actually happens to be right on that line anyway. So we'll send this across. Now, down we come. Across. There. Okay, that is coming from E. So we can put that little line in there. All we've got left to do is a little bit of our curve. We have a center point, that, two more, and we're golden. So we will have this point here. We already have the end. And we just need these two. We'll use our 60 degrees, 60-30 set square for that. So let's bring these three guys cross together. I often draw this little tiny line first just to make sure I'm on the... It'll be hard to see exactly where your pencil is going to contact. There we are. See, it is a little trickier with 3, but we'll figure it out. Now, this one here, we'll drop this down. And we'll get this guy done. That's that point. Take the next one down. And that is coming down from here. That was the middle line of these three coming down. So there, it's going to be there, isn't it? There. And we should have one more right in here. There we go. That, of course, is the original one there. Off we go. Nice little bit of a curve. And that's the curve of it. And we'll just check we're missing any other little bits of detail. Not really. Okay, off we go. So again, having a look at this one, we're now at 29 minutes. So, you know, it's a bit more than you might think. This one does take a little bit of time. Loads and loads of these lines, and look at these as a measure for your quality. Then check all of these ones that are together. How parallel are they? They should be just bang on. Okay, that way you know you're using your t-square and your set square just as you should. All right, have fun.